Okay, we're recording. Are we recording? Can you hear me there? Yeah, okay. I see the line bouncing back and forth. That means it's hearing me talk. So, anyway, there's three of you that showed up. That's three more than I expected on the first day of class. Um, I'm not criticizing anybody for not showing up. Um, I usually wait. Class usually starts on a Monday. It's weird that it's starting on a Wednesday. Um, anyway, I mean, this semester. I mean, I've been working at the Salt Lake Community College for more than 20 years now, probably about 20 years. I've been teaching this online class for at least the last 8 or 9 years, and this is the very first semester ever that I have my exams scheduled with the testing center before classes begin. Woohoo for me. Um, so, anyway, we'll cover that in just a minute. For those of you who are listening, you may type in questions in the chat window, and I will answer the questions as we go. So don't wait until the question and answer period, unless you want to. But um, so anyway, this is my online class for Salt Lake Community College CS, not ECS, Engineering 1030 and 1040. If you are in 1030, make sure that you signed up and registered for the 1035 lab. It's a cool lab. You get to build a robot out of Legos, and then program it using Simulink, which is in MATLAB, and it's pretty cool software. It allows you to program using um, blocks. You just put a block, you want to add something together, and it'll add it all up for you. It's really cool. Really neat lab. If you're in the 1030 class is also required for all mechanical engineering students. If you're a mechanical engineering student and you are registered for 1040, you may want to consider changing over to 1030. The class is exactly identical through the first 2/3 of the semester, working out of MATLAB. After exam 2, 1040 goes into Excel. At 1030 continues with MATLAB. So where'd my notes go? Here's my notes. So this is MATLAB. You probably haven't had a chance to look at it yet, which is fine. You will get to it. I am running MATLAB's 2018B, which is the latest. Actually, it hasn't. This is a pre-release. I've been evaluating it for them, sending them in my errors that I find. You can use any version of MATLAB you want. The stuff we do in this class is not so intense that I cannot run your code from a different version in my MATLAB. However, be aware that if you do like a version 12, which was released back in the probably in the late 90s, it does not have the live editor, and there are some, well, actually all of the exams, we'll get to that in a minute, all the exams will be given in a live editor format. There are some homeworks where you have to save it as a live editor. Only I think 2017 and 2018, it might be the later version of 2016, have the live editor. Um, you can do your work in an M file, and I'll cover that in just a minute. Or you can do it in a live editor. Either way is fine by me. Actually, I kind of, well, it's sixes. It's easier for me to download the live editor because all of your functions will be into one file. Whereas if you do M files, each function has to be in its own file. So the chapter, I don't know, 5 or 6, when we get into user-defined functions, you have like 15 files to submit, and if you don't zip them, then I have to download them one at a time. I don't specify which format for you to use. I want you to use whatever is comfortable for you. Okay, you're the one that needs to learn this software. You're the one that's going to have to use this in future and other classes. And I even use MATLAB at my office. MATLAB is a very powerful tool for plotting, for doing data analysis. Um, So it is very, very useful. Um, it is available to use over the internet on all access. Um, let's see if I can pull it up. When you come in here, try, I think it's under apps, and you come down here into MATLAB. There's 2016B and 2018A. You can use either one of these. Whichever one works better for you is fine. 18A is going to have all the latest bells and whistles. 16, not so much. But well, let's open up 16 and see if it does the live editor. As long as it does the live editor, it's fine. Now, oh, good grief. It's wanting my dual authentication. I haven't heard this complaint from my students recently, but I know there were several semesters where the students were complaining that MATLAB would freeze up. They'd lose connection and couldn't get back in. I don't think any of them complained about losing their work. Once you reopen MATLAB, it'll be there because I think it saves to your H drive there on the campus. Um, but two things, this is a kind of a double-edged sword here. It's to use it at home. If it's slow, you may want to spend $90, $99 and buy the student version. So yeah, this has a live editor. So, but anyway, so here is this. It may run a little slow over your internet connection depending on your bandwidth, how much traffic is on. Um, but even if you buy the home version of MATLAB, I highly, 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 highly recommend that you get in and use this on all access, because the exams in the testing center will be using this software through all access. We do not have enough licenses to put MATLAB on the computers in the testing center, so it goes through all access. So make sure, even and especially those who are using Macintosh, because they're all PC in the testing center, you want to make sure you get in and get familiar with the software prior to, because you have 2 hours to take the exam. You don't want to waste half of that getting familiar with the environment. Okay, so hopefully I haven't beaten that dead horse too badly. So this is MATLAB. Like I say, I'm 2018B, which there are a few niceties over to 1018A, but they don't really affect this class. You can still do everything we need to do in this class in 2018A. So once you open up MATLAB, you can you'll do all of your homework here in an M file. Okay, I got that off the home page by hitting new script. Once the script file is open, if you need another file, you can hit the plus mark. It'll open up another one. You can do a control N. We'll give you another page. Yeah, I think yeah. So there's several ways to get a new one. So this is an M file. Why is it called an M file? Because you look here, the extension is .m. So that's why it's called an M file. And you'll want to do all your work in the M file. Now, a lot of students will begin off by doing their work in the command window. This is okay if you're just doing a rough calculation. If you want to say t is equal to 7, well, I need to know what t squared is because I'm stupid. So there you can do it, okay? But you can't be doing your homework in the command window. You can save this here somehow. I'm not sure. Students doing it all the time, that they're turning in the hang on, I'm turning it down. I have to be able to execute your code to make sure that there's no errors. I've been doing it long enough. I know what the output's supposed to be, and and what the code's supposed to look like. But I still need to execute it to make sure. So you'll do all your work in this M file, um, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. But the first thing you want to do is set up your current folder. Um, and when you open up your MATLAB, this is going to be down here like this. Okay, I don't like that. I like being able to see, so I readjust mine and put it up here. You can move these windows around to wherever you like to make it more convenient. I like doing this because I can see a whole lot of code instead of just half a dozen lines. I can see a whole bunch and still see the output. So anyway, see, I get off topic, man. I only have two functioning brain cells, so it's hard for me to concentrate. So current folder, it's very, 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 very important for our class that you learn how to set up the current folder. There is a way to specify in your work to change the directory to whatever folder you're saving your homework. However, I don't have that folder on my computer when I do the grading, so it won't run. So you need to set up the current folder. Anything that we import in, any data files that we import in, they need to be stored in the current folder. All of your user-defined functions need to be in the current folder. Well, how do you set up the current folder? I am going to show you how to set up the current folder. There's this little browse for folder button right here. It's the file with a green arrow on it. If you click on that, and then you can navigate to wherever you want your current folder to be. Now I just happen to have on my desktop one called MATLAB Online. This is my current folder, so I will select that, select folder, and now it brings up, and see, now it shows all the files that I have in that folder. So you want to save your files in the current folder, and then when you go to submit it, you'll go to that current folder and grab the M file that you just created and submit that for grading. Okay, another very important aspect on these M files is when you're saving them, go to the editor tab. When you're saving these, okay, I'm going to save it, it defaults to the current folder. It needs to be a valid MATLAB variable name. Okay, right now you probably don't know what that means because you haven't had a chance to get into it yet. However, that's one of the first things you learn in chapter 2 is valid file names. One thing come on, you could say it. Valid file name is it must start with a letter. Cannot start with a number, cannot start with a space, cannot start with any special characters. You can use underscores. You can use numbers. But you cannot use special characters. Okay, and if you try to, MATLAB's going to throw up an error saying, hey, this is not a valid, you can save it as that, but it's not a valid file name. So you need to make sure that it is a valid file name. So it's all one, no spaces, no special characters, only numbers, letters, and the underscore. And now you see over here it created a file named demof18.m. So this is what you would turn in. Now you'll notice do I have any in here? I don't know if I have any. As you're working along on your homework, some of these assignments are quite lengthy. Will take you some time to do. If by any chance your file gets corrupted and you can't open it, look into your current folder. There will be most likely be a file under the same name, only with a .asv extension. That is an automatic MATLAB backup. It will back up your file periodically and save it in the folder where you're working. If you need to get that file, here I can change this one here. This is what it would look like when you come in. It'll be a .asv, and if you want to get your files off of that, you just change the extension from ASV to .m, and then you'll have everything that was there the last time that MATLAB performed its automatic backup. I do not need the .asvs. Those are yours. The only thing you'll turn into me will be the .m files, or if you're using the live editor, I don't think I have a live editor file in there. Oh, somebody just scared me. Oh, hi, welcome. Um, if you're using the live editor, it'll be a .mlx. So that's what you'll want to submit there. And I can cover live editor here in just a minute. So you've got your file, you've created your current folder, you've named it. Now you're going to do your work. I highly recommend you use cell mode. Okay, I think it used to be you had to turn cell mode on, but now I think it's just by default. You create a cell by putting 2% signs and a space. Now I don't know if you can see that over the link there, but the top part here is yellow. I can make it a whole bunch more yellow. That is a cell. And then I would prefer that you label it with the problem number, so I know where you're at. And then when you get done with that problem, do 2 spaces, or 2 print sign with a space, and then problem 2. And so now you've got 2 cells. You got problem 1 and problem 2. The beauty of this is that you can execute problem 2 without having to execute problem 1. Some of these homework assignments, I don't want to scare you right off the bat, but some of them have 20 to 30 problems in the assignment, and you don't want to have to run all 29 problems to run the last problem to make sure it works. So if you're in the cell mode, you can just execute only that cell. So how do you execute a cell? That is a very good question. I will show you how to do that. There are several ways to execute a cell. Up here you have these commands here. This will run this cell. It'll execute everything inside of that scale. We see that R is 25 when you square it. Okay, but you notice that this stayed yellow. That means that the control stayed in that cell. Now if you want to run this cell and then advance to this one, you use the run and advance. So it executed and then brought the control down to the next one. And then you can execute that cell. We can see U is 36 squared. Okay. Another way to do it is to right mouse click at somewhere there's an execute cell. Oh, there it is. Evaluate current selection or section. Okay, so you can do that and it stays there, or you can come down here and do that. Another way is control enter. Control enter. Let's clear this off so you can see that it's actually doing something. If I hit control enter, it works. And see, that's the way I grade is I do control enter. Well, actually I do a control shift enter. That'll execute and advance. And when you're in cell mode, I can sit there and go through each of your problems by just hitting control shift enter and see the output and look at the code and go to the next one. Any questions on cell mode? Are y'all still awake, or did I put you to sleep?
Yeah, no questions.
Okay. Yes, you may run all the cells at once. You can run the entire program by hitting the run button. If you hit the run button, it'll now one beautiful thing about the run button that is not a feature of the run section and run in advance is not only does this run the entire file, but it saves it too. If you happen to hit this and don't save and close it out, it won't save any of the work that you had in there, whereas this saves and then runs. You can also, and I can't do this while I'm recording because it messes with my Camtasia. If you wanted to execute just this line right here, you can highlight that line and evaluate selection or hit F9. If I hit F9, it pauses my video. So if I'm running, let's see if I can get a one here with, no, that's not got a whole lot of code in it. That's not got a whole lot. Wow. Um, okay, well, let's say come on, I gotta have something here that's got, wow. That's test me. That's not good. Um, well, anyway, if you got code here where you got 20 or 30 lines of code and it's kicking up an error, you can run it one section at a time by selecting it and hitting evaluate selection or hit F9, and it'll just evaluate that data right there, even if there's more lines in the code here. This will only run what is selected, and this is a good way to find out where your errors are. If you're having an error, I usually start at the beginning, grab enough code that it'll make sense if I run it, and if it gives me the output I want, then I grab the next section and keep going until I find out which part of my code is causing my error. Now you're going to see these little orange lines over here, and it's going to say terminate statement with a semicolon. Yeah, just ignore it, please. If you want to do that on your calculation lines, that's fine. If you're establishing variables, that's fine. Suppress the output at what the semicolon does. You'll notice over here, if we run this code, this section, you only see B, and this isn't going to work because it's a vector. But you don't see A because A has been suppressed with the semicolon. The problem is students see this note over here, oh well, I gotta suppress that, and then when I come in to grade it and I hit the execute button, there's no output. So I have to go through and erase all your semicolons so that I can see that it's calculating correctly. So please ignore any, I mean, you can look at these over here for advice. It may give you something useful, but if it says to terminate with a semicolon, please don't. Like I say, you can do the previous calculated lines of code and give me the final one to the output. And another one that students like to do is they like to put a CLC down at the bottom of the, and it doesn't matter if all of these are, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to run all that code and then clear the screen. So please, if you want to use the clear command, put it up front so that I can see the output. So as long as we're here, let's look at this guy right here. What's this period doing here? That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked it. In MATLAB is Matrix Laboratory. Oh, hey, sorry, it's an ASV, not AVS. ASV. There's the automatic backup file that it created. So anyway, MATLAB works off of matrices. Mat is short for matrix, and lab is laboratories. So it deals with matrices and vectors. Now, if you want to try and multiply, let's do this here so that we can see it's the same. If you wanted to find out what each of these values were squared, so a times a, and if you try to just multiply them together, it won't work because in matrix algebra they have to be dimensionally correct. You have to have as many rows as columns and columns as rows in order, and we'll get into that later in the semester. So in order to get it to go through and multiply this element by element, so take this element and multiply it by itself, and this element multiply it by itself, you put in the element operator, which is just a period before multiplication and before raising to a power, and then also if we wanted to divide,
You're stupid.
if you want to divide by a vector or a matrix, you must use the element operator, because it is impossible. It is physically impossible to divide by a matrix or a vector. It's like dividing by zero. It just cannot be done. So you must have an element operator on a division when you're trying to divide by a vector or matrix. Okay. So like I say, when you get done with your homework assignment and you're ready to turn it in, where is it? Here it is. Just make sure that you save it so that I get everything that you've done, and then you'll go to your current folder, and that's what you will submit into the inbox for that assignment. Okay, any questions on the homework and using MATLAB and the MATLAB environment, getting set up and running for the homework?
No, not for me.
Okay, you can put comments in here. I personally, when I'm doing stuff, I like to do my units as a comment. I don't require comments, but I think it's a good practice to get into. I got files at my office that I wrote 10 years ago, and without the comments in them, I wouldn't have any clue what's going on. So comments, I do not dock for putting comments in or for not, but I think it would be a very good habit to get into. When we get into plotting, I highly stress that you do your tables or your titles and labels. I transferred over to the University of Utah, and one of my very first labs, I left them off of a plot, and he nailed me big time. So, well, I don't know what anything is here because it's not labeled. So after that, I just made sure, and then I also, while I'm teaching, make sure that my students are aware that they want to make sure and label their plots and titles, stuff. So do all the comments you want, that's fine. I do highly beg you to label each problem. Most likely it'll be a chapter and a problem number. If some of them have parts A's, B's, C's, and D's, you can just do part A and then come down here and do part B, or if you really want to, it doesn't bother me if you make part A a cell and part B a cell. It doesn't matter. Oh, one more very, 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 very important thing. Make sure on each problem that does not tie into the previous one. Okay, if problem 3.2 does not work off of stuff you did in 3.1, you want to start it with 5 little letters, clear. I can't stress that enough. Every semester I get students contacting me saying, hey, look, my code's right, but it's not giving me the right answer. And that's because in problem 1 they defined R to be 5, and then down in problem 32 they're using R again, but it's supposed to be assigned something different, but they forgot to assign it, so it's just defaulting to the assignment in problem 1. If you get into the habit of clearing each problem, that doesn't become an issue. Because in problem 32, if you forgot to assign R a value, it will kick up an error saying unknown what? You think I'd have it memory? Yeah, unknown function or variable. So actually I can demonstrate that if we come down here into this, and we'll just comment that out. Whoa, dude. And make this R and clear that one. So we come up here and we run this one, and so that worked and that worked. But now if we clear and run, it can't find it because it's not defined in that problem. I hope that makes sense. But it is important. If this problem, if you've done some calculations in this problem, then they got to plot them in this problem. You don't want to clear, because otherwise then you have to redo all the problem coding that you did in problem 1. That one you can go ahead and leave this out, and then in the next problem, if it doesn't build on it, then you can clear your variables. But it's just a good habit to get into. Okay, so now some of the logistics of this class. This is an online class. If you go into Canvas, um, uh, some important things here off of the Canvas page. Keep an eye on these announcements up here. I do a lot of my communication with the entire class through announcements. So if you come down here, if you look at this, assignments and PE solutions, right here at the very top, okay, I don't know why, but Holly has hers down at the bottom. I moved mine up to the top. This will give you the solutions to all the practice exercises in the 5th edition. Okay, not the 4th, but the 5th. I guess if I do have students that are in the 4th edition, I can include the 4th edition solutions up there. But this will give you all the solutions to all the practice exercises in PDF format, so that if you get stuck doing the practice exercises, you can check it out and see where you went wrong. Use it only as a last resort. Don't just pull them open and copy it from the solutions. You gain absolutely nothing from doing that. Next thing that's important on this page is, for those of you who are using the 4th edition, you'll want to go to resources for this course, and right here is the homework problems from the 5th edition. These are the homework problems you need to do. Oh no, where's the rest of them? Holly. Okay, I'm gonna have to add some problems there because, whoa, dude, where did you go? Oh, I'm right here. Because this is supposed to be the 10:30, but yet she's got the pointed to the 10:20. So I need to add the rest of the homework problems. Okay, so I'm not as ready as I thought I was for this semester, but I'm a lot further ahead than I was in the past. Okay. Sorry, I'm making a note because I only have 2 functioning brain cells and I tend to forget a lot. Also, if you haven't received your textbook yet, the first 3 chapters are available right here, so you can get the first 2 assignments done while you're waiting for your textbook to come in. Okay, there should be no excuses for not getting the first 2 assignments done on time. Well, no valid excuses anyway. Exams. There will be 3 exams in this semester. Oh, cool! Look at that. She's got sample exams already up there for me. So for 10:30, you'll have 3 exams in MATLAB. They don't necessarily it's basically the material from the last test, from the last test to this test. Except for the basics. And hopefully you've learned the basics as we're going. It's mostly tries to focus on the new material learned between tests. For the Excel, it's Excel only. There will be no MATLAB on the Excel final. All the exams will be given in the testing center. This was an issue last semester because students said it wasn't in the syllabus, so he didn't know it was going to be there. So it is now in the syllabus, and it is also part of the welcome board quiz. So you have been given notice. The test is going to be in the testing center. If you look at the calendar, the first exam is, oh, I went too far. No, right there. It says the first exam is going to be on September 28th. That's true, but not completely true. It will be in the testing center beginning. Oops, cancel. Beginning September 24th all the way through the 28th. You'll have the entire week in which time to schedule the exam with the testing center to go in and take the first exam and the second exam. You'll have the full week, but the final testing is only available from Monday through Thursday, so the final you only have 4 days. It is in the testing center. For MATLAB, you will be given an electronic copy of the MATLAB textbook to use during the exam. We used to allow the students to take their books in, but had a semester where several students took every blank spot they could find in their textbook and filled it full of notes and coding and all kinds of stuff, to where we finally just had to say, okay, fine, we'll just give you an electronic copy. For the Excel students, for the final, you may take your textbook in as long as it has not been written in. If you write in your textbook, the testing center will not allow you to take it in to your exam. There'll be no notes, no homework, no surfing the internet, no psychic abilities, no neighbors. You can use, oh, that's one I didn't show. You can use the help feature inside of MATLAB, and you should see this. If you just type the word help and then the command that you want help with, MATLAB will pop up with some help here. It'll show you, tell you what the function does, and even a little bit of sample code. And if that's not enough, then you can come down here and hit this. It'll bring up a browser page. It'll give you even more detailed information on that code. Those are available if you want to use them during the exam. Did I forget anything about the exam? You have 2 hours to take the exam. I'm not sure who's going to be writing it. We 4 exams. We've had four instructors teaching every semester, so each one of us got 1 exam to write. So if there's only 2 of us, you're going to have to suffer through 2 of my exams. Oh, wait till you. I'd much rather take one than write one. So anyway, one final thing here. After you spend hours and hours and hours of working on your homework and you want to take a break, just type those 3 letters Y and hit enter and repeat as often as you like. It can entertain you for a few minutes. So this online session is completely optional. I do not require you to be here. As long as somebody shows up, I will record it and post it. I'll upload it to YouTube and post a link on the Canvas so that you can watch it. I will try to hold them on Thursday nights, unless if I have more students that want to do it on Wednesday instead of Thursday, I'll do Wednesday. I try to keep it around an hour, but as long as somebody's here asking questions, I don't turn you away. If you have questions during the week, send me a message in Canvas. I can meet with you pretty much any time during the week in the evenings, except for Saturdays. My Saturdays I am occupied from 3 until 9. I can meet you after about 10 o'clock on Saturday nights if you need. I'm here. I'm a resource for you. Use me, abuse me, and throw me out with yesterday's trash. I will be fine. The saddest thing I see is homework coming in with notes in it saying I couldn't understand how to do this. That's what I'm here for, is to help you understand. This Join.me is a really cool tool. I can set it up to where I am viewing your computer and we can just look at your code, and I can even, if you give me mouse access, can type in your machine and help you find the errors and correct your code and show you what's going on. Any questions? I think that's all I got.
No, thank you.
So the next one will be, I think, next Thursday. I do know that September 6th, is that Thursday? Sixth, seventh, yeah, September 6th. I will not be available, so we'll have to. Oh, I may not even be on 5th. We'll have to see what happens. That's Comic Con weekend, and I'm a volunteer at Comic Con, so I won't be available. And yeah, those 3 days, pretty much all day, is I'm down at Comic Con all day, and then time I get home, I'm beat and go straight to bed.